Hello, welcome to the whiteboard briefings presented by me, Ian Clark. On this briefing here, we're talking about a manoeuvre. The manoeuvre is going to be putting up on the other side of the road, stopping and coming back in a straight line. Come to that in more detail in a moment. There are other manoeuvres that you will need to learn. There are 4 in total, 4 manoeuvres on the UK driving test that involve reversing. This is one of them. Another one is parallel park, which is, a lot of you will know what that is. It's putting next to a vehicle, reversing and ending up in a park position. And the remaining 2, one is reversing into a parking bay, going in backwards, and the other is pulling forwards into a parking bay, then reversing out. They're the 4 manoeuvres. You will only do one of them on the day. Now, when I say the day, I do mean the driving test. It's up to the examiner which one they do. It is a bit random, I believe, but they'll only do one. Now, the one I'm going to brief you on now, pulling up on the other side of the road and going back in a straight line, you may be thinking, well, that sounds quite easy. Now, it probably is one of the easiest of the whole 4. If you could choose which manoeuvre you did, you can't get to choose. The examiner will decide which one it is. If you had a choice between this or parallel park, I'm pretty sure you'd go for this one. So the 3 component parts, what I mean by that, the 3 bits you're going to be assessed on all the manoeuvres, there are 3 bits. In no particular order, you'll see what I mean. The 3 bits you'll be assessed on: control, which is the clutch and brake, how you control the car. You'll notice I didn't say accelerator because on tick over, that's where you haven't got any gas or accelerator on. On tick over, it's called idling, the engine just ticking over. There's usually enough power to do the manoeuvre, so it just helps with the control. It's just your clutch and brake. It's one less thing to think about. But some vehicles, yeah, they do need a little bit of power to help them. But I've found that the vehicles I've taught in, you don't need any accelerator. No particular order, so it's control, observation. So we'll come to that in a moment. Just looking around, and I'll just break that down as where you should be looking. And accuracy. And I think it's fair to say on this one, accuracy, going back in a straight line, is pretty easy, really. Can go wrong, but really it should be fairly straightforward. That's not a pun on going backwards, by the way. So, if you should get this particular manoeuvre, the examiner will choose a suitable location. When I say a suitable location, because they're going to ask you to pull up on the other side of the road, typically it's a housing estate that's not too busy, because the examiners want you pulling up on a busy road, going back in a straight line and taking for ages and ages and ages, because the examiner has to get back for their next test, unless it's lunchtime and they're going to be late for lunch. I don't know which is worse. So coming back, just taking your time, just take your time on the manoeuvres. So the examiners are doing usually 7 tests a day, 5 days a week. They know every nook and cranny. They know suitable locations. So if you get this one, usually on a housing estate, could be anywhere, but usually a housing estate, you're driving along, the examiner will say, I'd like to pull up on the other side of the road, please. Sometimes they'll say, don't worry about blocking a driveway. They might say that. So pull up on the other side of the road. Don't worry if you block a driveway. Try not to, and end up close to the curb. Now, if you're not, when you learn to drive, pulling off even on the left can be a little bit of a problem, just knowing where your car is. So you're pulling up on the other side, on the right-hand side, that you're not practiced doing. So you've got to gauge that you're kind of reasonably close to the curb. So when the examiner asks you, you check your mirror, see what's behind you, and give a right signal to go across. So check your mirror and your right-hand door mirror as well. If it's safe, over you go. So you've got to try and square it up so you're nice and straight. Obviously, it's easier if your car is straight, like a torpedo, or in a spirit level, the bubble is nice and straight, whatever. Because if you're a little bit of an angle, when you come backwards, you're going to have to correct it, which is fine. It's just easier if your vehicle is straight when you come back. So you've pulled up on the other side, you've stopped, fine. Now, when you've stopped here, hopefully close-ish to the curb, the examiner will say something like, I want you to reverse back for approximately 2 of your vehicle lengths, keeping close to the curb. Now, as I've said, if your vehicle is straight, all you got to do is get your steering straight and seriously just back in a straight line. That is it. But if you're a bit of an angle, you might have to tweak a little bit with your steering to get it straight. Now, the examiner says approximately 2 of your vehicle lengths. So if you're going backwards and you're going over 2 vehicles lengths, the examiner might say, oh no, thank you, that's fine, you can stop there. It's not a problem. It's not like a fault. It's approximately. So if you're going a bit far, they might say, no, that's fine, thank you. On the other hand, if you don't go far enough and stop a bit early, they might say, could you go back a bit further, please? Now, it's not a problem. Don't worry that you just haven't gone back far enough. So go back a little bit further. They're not too strict, but approximately 2 of your vehicle lengths. Fine. Now, this is your start point. 1, say that's 2 of your vehicle lengths, about there. Into reverse. There's your reverse lights. Come on. Oh, backwards you go. Now, if a vehicle should come this way or that way, generally speaking, you should stop. So if something's coming past you, either side, stop. Now, as far as I know, if it's a narrowish road or quite a small road, if you carry on moving, it's not the F word, which is fail. It's not the F word, it's a major fault, which really could be a fail. So what I'm saying is really this manoeuvre is a lot more about observation than it is the accuracy. So if something comes past you, do stop. Or if you've got pedestrian coming up here, a dog walker, lady with a buggy, whoever, somebody coming up, then wait. Take your time. Do not hurry it. There's no need to hurry. I mean, don't be silly and just take all day long, but take as long as you need, because the longer you take in some ways, the better. The clock is ticking from when you start your test from the test centre. So just use up your allocated time, but don't take the mick. You know, don't be silly about it. Just go back and just take your time if anything comes around you. And somebody could, if there were driveways, come out the driveway. So really, I think observation is the key thing here. The accuracy, I think, it's all right. It's okay. So then back you go. Nothing's come, so you go back in a straight line, your 2 car lengths. That's fine. Now, it's not over till you've moved away safely. Let me explain. The examiner, if you've gone back your vehicle lengths, the examiner says, no, that's great, that's fine, that's lovely, wonderful, whatever. Then they'll say, right, I'd like to move away when it's safe. Now, when you move away, you're kind of more used to moving off from this side of the road and hopefully checking your blind spot before you move off. So there is a possum before you move off. Possum is P, which is preparation, which is your clutch and brake, when your handbrake ready. O is observation, including your blind spot. Now, your blind spot's all round where you can't see, but generally speaking, when you're moving off from this side of the road, your blind spot is right over here, the area not covered by your door mirror. From this side, your blind spot is actually over to your left. So you've got to look right over this side of the road. So the blind spot is actually over here, because if you move off and you haven't checked and someone is there, then it's not good. And even if nobody's there and you don't check, it's still not good. So do your preparation, observation, including your blind spot, signal, and then move away. Now, when you're signalling left to move away, if something comes this way or that way, you could think about cancelling the signal, because people could be a little bit confused about what you're doing. So signal, so what I'm really saying is move off within a 3-second window, if it's clear. If it's going to be a lengthy-ish wait, because vehicles turn up all of a sudden, just cancel your signal. There is a little point to talk about night time. People say to me, why do they do this? And I say, well, you could pull up on the other side, and you do need to gauge close to the curb and be able to go straight back. At night time, if you do pull up on the other side of the road like this, and you've got your dipped headlights on, then it's always worth turning them off to your side lights. The reason is, if you've got your dipped headlights on, with UK vehicles, the lights go slightly this way. Somebody coming towards you will be dazzled. So if you've got your dipped headlights on, I would just put, if you're waiting, just your little side lights on, not to dazzle people. That's one thing to bear in mind when you're pulling up at night time on the other side of the road. Hopefully you found that helpful, interesting, answers some of your questions that you were wondering about, and some points came up there that you hadn't really given consideration to, and that's helpful. So yeah, again, thank you for watching.